Hello, my name is Deborah Porta, and I'm the Executive Director of Pride Northwest, and I'm honored to say hello and greet our headliners for our very first virtual Pride celebration, Mace III and Lady Dane Figueroa Edidi. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you being here with us. Mace III is a Black trans queer poet and educator based in Seattle by way of Philadelphia. He is the author of And Then I Got Fired, One Trans Queer's Reflections on Grief, Unemployment, and Inappropriate Jokes About Death, and founder of Awkward, the first ever trans and queer people of color specific talent agency. He co-edits the Black Trans Prayer Book with Lady Dane Figueroa Edidi. He is also the head writer of the widely received theater show Black Boys, which debuted in Seattle at On the Boards in April 2018.
Come on, wildly received. Come on, wildly received. Come on.
Come
on.
As a performer, he has shared stages with world-renowned artists like Chuck D and the Indigo Girls. His work and musings have been featured on MSNBC, NBC Out, Essence Live, Atlanta Black Star, Go Magazine, Believe Out Loud, Everyday Feminism, Black Girl Dangerous, Upworthy, The New York Times, BuzzFeed, The Root, The Huffington Post, Teen Vogue, and more. I'm not sure if there are any more publications to be in. Lady Dane Figueroa Edidi, dubbed the ancient jazz priestess of Mother Africa. Lady Dane Figueroa Edidi is Nigerian, Cuban, Indigenous American performance artist, author, teacher, choreographer, priestess, speechwriter, playwright, writing coach, advocate, healer, a founding member of Forced Collision, and a two-time Helen Hayes Award nominee. She is the founder...
Six-time now. Hey!
Oh, nice. She is the founder of the Anana D Initiatives, which curates, produces, and cultivates events and initiatives designed to center and celebrate the work of TGNC artists of color. Considered one of the most prolific artists of our time, she is the first trans woman of color to be nominated for the Helen Hayes Award. And how many times? 6?
Oh, it's like, so I got two nominations for choreography, and then my play Clytemnestra got 4. But I'll tell you all about that later.
All right. In 2015, she received the Emerging Leader Award for her work with the DC trans community and is the GLBT History Project's 28th recipient of the Mujeres en el Movimiento Arts Award. She's also co-starred as Patra in the new web series King Esther. And now, I'll turn the stage over to you. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope everyone enjoys.
Yes. Thank y'all so much for having us. Thank you so much for having us. Yes. And
Thank y'all.
Yeah, and so together, myself and Dane, we are the co-editors of the project called the Black Trans Prayer Book. And so that's a project we'll kind of talk about throughout tonight. Y'all will get to ask some questions at the end. We can see all your comments. So even though we're not on the YouTube with you and the Facebook with you, we can see all your Facebook and YouTube comments. So if we ask you to do something, we ask for you to respond to something, we like to know about it. So it just, helps us know that we all in it together. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Anything else you want to add for right now? Am I missing something?
No, listen, y'all. Okay, we're having to do shit digital now. Cameras and stuff look different than what it looked like sometimes normally. So, like just now I got up, right? Because my computer was like, bitch, you was on motherfucking almost empty on your battery. And I said, okay, girl, here I come. So listen. So we are going to be live. We're coming at you live, all right? So if you see me be like, "Ooh, I got to put on my earphones because my mic is being shady," or "Ooh, child, let's read some of these comments." That's what we do. And just let us know too. Let us know if you can see us. Let us know if you can hear us. Let us know if you can feel us.
Yes. And if you take any pictures tonight, because we don't usually coordinate, I'm all excited about us coordinating outfits today. I think it's the first time we did this on purpose, because, you got to be digital. You got to try something new. So if you take any pictures tonight, please tag us and let us know, because we would like to capture this moment between us.
I do think I had one too many buttons, though. I had to.
And you got everything, you got everything else. So we're not going to cut up like that today. But I believe I'm first on the mic. Is that right? Like I got the first poem of the night?
You are, Bo. Thank you.
So, Dane always likes to, I always like to ask, but I'm always going to go first. Dane always likes other people to go first, at least me. So I'm going to go first in this moment.
Because I get nervous.
She lied. So y'all see she don't get nervous. Y'all seen her cutting up, even through the bios. Couldn't get through the bios without cutting up, right? So she don't get nervous. This is a lie. She tells something. I don't know who it serves. It don't, but here we are today together with all of you. Okay. Yeah, and so I also have a little, an audience member that is not on the YouTube or the Facebook, my little puppy in the background, who I'm hoping is quiet throughout this entire thing. But if you hear a little puppy rumbling, just know, she just got something to say sometimes too. She likes to be very politically engaged, and so this first piece that I'm gonna do with y'all, it's a piece that's gonna be, y'all are gonna do it with me. And so when I'm going to say it, and so I'm going to give you a direction. You can either say it out loud where you are, even though you're on mute and I can't hear you. You can sign it if you would like. You can type it into the comments if you would like. And if you type it into the comments, I can see it, and then I can know you're with me. How great is that? How wonderful. Yes. Okay. And so this is a piece called Zone of Reardon. So when I say story time, y'all say story time. Story time. Story time. Story time. When I say true story, y'all say true story, true story. So the other day, I dreamt I was cuddling with a human-sized platypus. I stroked its beak and its tail. I wrapped my arms around it, and it made a sound I did not recognize. But that sound felt a lot like joy and calm and loyalty. I hear that's what some people call love. And maybe I didn't know what love sounded like until that moment, but that's not surprising to me, because survivors were like that. We're used to mistaking chaos for love. We've been trained to call our very realities things that they are not. So this clarity in my spirit was new. I woke up all rejuvenated and wanted to know everything about the love of my dreams. So I read every encyclopedia entry, every Wikipedia article, listened to every TED Talk I could find about the platypus, but they all described it the same way. Said that it was weird and strange, that it had the bill of a duck and the tail of a beaver. But how strange does that sound to the platypus, that you could be saying it has the tail of a creature it's never even shared the same continent with? It's like if it has the bill of a platypus and the tail of a platypus and poisons birds in its feet like a platypus, it's probably not a duck. It's like calling it a thing it is not. It's like when colonizers that called themselves scientists landed on what was once a black continent we now call Australia. When they first saw the platypus, they thought it was a joke, that someone was playing a trick. They thought someone actually wasted their day trying to move the bill they thought someone actually wasted their day gluing bills onto the faces of rats. So they tried to remove the bill from the face of the platypus and subsequently killed a lot of platypuses that way, trying to uncover the joke. Turns out the joke was murder, because they were insistent on calling a thing it was not. It's like, maybe my gender is a platypus. Folks always insistent on labeling parts of my body things that they are not. It's like when Columbus landed on Hispaniola, and Balboa landed in North America, and Hawkins landed in West Africa, and they saw all these black and brown bodies. They saw men and women, and they saw something else they thought was a joke. Someone playing a trick. They saw all these people that lay between their understandings of gender, and sometimes, somehow, even beyond them. Some at the time called us healers. Some called us just purely divine. Now some of us just call it trans for short, but to them, it was a joke. It was someone playing a trick. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they ordered us killed by dogs. Maybe that's why they burned us alive. Maybe that's why they tried to kill everyone that ever saw us as holy. Maybe that's the punchline, because the joke to white supremacy is always murder. It's like when they told us they were bringing us civility on black and brown soil, but what they meant was that they were bringing us the transatlantic slave trade, because they like to call a thing. It is not. It's like, maybe my name is a platypus. You know, because when I say it, people tell me that's not what it should be. When really my ancestors called for me and I responded back, and they told me there is nothing blacker than me calling my own name into existence. But to you, maybe it's a joke, and maybe that joke is suppression, because supremacy always tries to kill things it doesn't understand. You know, I hear abusers do that sometimes. Try to devalue things they don't understand and call things that they are not. So I may call that gaslighting. They may call it law and order. They may call it civility. They may call it a joke or a trick on them, a trick on their science, a trick on their biology, a trick on their power, a trick on their legal system, a trick on their supremacy, a trick on their superiority, a trick on their religiosity. But there will always be the platypus, even when you laugh behind its back, even when you deny its power, its poison at every step it takes underwater. It senses electrical pulses to find its food and the things that it will prey on. It reminds me of myself and the ways that I sense bullshit and decide what kinds of energy I will or will not feed on. Even when you think I am a joke, that my body is weird and strange. Even when you call me a thing I am not. Maybe I'm not a platypus. Maybe I'm just defiance with venom in my walk. Maybe it's just my familiar. Maybe I'm just familiar with the ways white supremacy works. Maybe my familiar teaches me to always call a thing exactly what it is, and I call you. Okay. Yeah. And so thank y'all for participating. Thank y'all.
I was saying it. Did you hear me? I was on mute, but I was saying it.
I felt the support. I saw it
I was
coming
like,
from the screen. He was in it. He was in it. I felt it. I felt it, like gave me energy.
Thank you. Y'all need to understand, like, at this time, more than likely we would be traveling together, like doing the documentary, like getting some interviews, and it's like, you know, this pandemic is a whole carry. And you know, I feel like if we had a government who actually cared about people, if we had a government that was competent, if we had a government that was actually like full of good people, right? Or I should say an administration who was full of good people, some things would be really different about the ways in which the government engages us. And so I'll leave that right there for right now, because more on that later. So thank you so much for sharing that. I like that piece. And hold on, Mace, before I start, that piece is in And Then I Got Fired?
Yeah, so that piece is in. So for people that are unfamiliar with it, it's in that book, this book, And Then I Got Fired, One Trans Queer's Reflections on Grief, Unemployment, Inappropriate Jokes About Death. Yeah.
And where can they get it from?
They can get it. They can get it from my site. They can get it from Amazon.com. They can get it from BarnesandNoble.com, and lots of different bookstores. I think for people that are watching in Portland, there's a couple different bookstores that carry it, but just in case, you can always get it on the internet. Yes.
Got you. I just wanted to, have a little clarity around that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the clarity. I dig a little clarity, now and then.
My piece that I am going to do is from my book, For Black Trans Girls Who Gotta Cuss a Motherfucker Out When Snatching an Edge Ain't Enough. Of course,
which everybody needs to get. Which everybody needs. Like, as y'all, I'm not even playing with y'all. I read this book, okay, and this is not even because Dane is my loved one, my homie, all those different things in the world. But like, I read this book, y'all, and I bought like 5 of the copies for people that I knew, and I read it like at least like I go through it like every other week, like I have to go through it again. So I'm just saying, just whatever. You're gonna read it, and they're gonna already know. So I'm just gonna stop saying it. But I just need y'all to know that's how I feel about the book. Okay. That's it. I'm on mute now. Mute. Okay.
Thank you, Boo. So, of course, it is. It is an echo. It is a continuation. It is homage to Ntozake Shange's "For Color Girls Who Consider Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough." And so, yeah, I'm going to read the piece, the prologue from it, called "For Black Trans Girls." This too can double as a play, by the way. This book be war cry, be love, let it be rage, be love. This book be battle scar, be cautionary tale, be hero's journey, be holy hymn. This book be healing balm, be medicine woman pouch, be bad bitch bitterness, be fresh fish tease, be realness, be face, be. This book for black trans girls, black trans women, gender non-conforming, non-binary, ghetto, bougie, bruja, banshee, bitch, queen, goddess, hose, priestess, two-spirit, red marsh, trans woman. This book for black trans girls who ain't got no cash but gotta sell that ass because rent is due. This book for black trans girls who ain't got no daddy because he ain't shit, who ain't got no mama because she ain't shit too, who had to get them family of choice because family of blood put them through this. This book for black trans girls who had all the estradiol with the thrills to chill the fuck out when the climate was burdensome and the block got hot, for black trans girls that lay safe in her family bosom and ain't never no pain or the disdain of her community and her home. This book is a sacred tome. This book for black trans girls who've been raped by their daddies, by their mothers, by their sisters, by their brothers, by them friends, by the men who claim to love you or hate you or need you or be here for you, by system, by police, by capitalism, by the dreams of white cis men. This book for black trans girls who smart as shit, who dumb as bricks, who got that good education, who ain't got no education shit. This book for the bookworm and the street smart chick. This book for black trans girls who worship goddess, who worship God, who don't worship neither, who believe in them all, who worship black, who pray ancestor magic back, whose spirituality is dope, who woke as fuck for the yups and the yes and the nopes. This book for black trans girls who like to fuck, who like to fuck, who like to fuck. Because black trans people have the right to pleasure, okay? And who don't like to fuck at all, at fucking all. This book for black trans girls who make art of love and work that 9 to 5 and like comics and be a nerd, and for black trans girls who like that blessed tree. This book, baby, for girls like you and me. This book for black trans girls who disabled, who don't do labels and ain't here for your ableist shit. This book for black trans girls who grow up to be black trans women, but advocacy groups. It's hot as shit, y'all. Woo! It's summer, bitch. This book for black trans girls who grow up to be black trans women, but advocacy groups don't care about you no more because they can't pimp your story out to get legislation passed. This book for black trans girls who they say won't make it past 35. This book for the girls dead and alive. This book for black trans girls, who black trans goddesses, who magical muses, misfits, and chooses her own joy over the sorrow of this world. This book for black trans girls who consider suicide when the rainbow ain't never been enough. This book for black trans girls who gotta cuss a motherfucker out when snatching an edge ain't enough because a bitch tried it. And want to know how tough you are because you wish a motherfucker would, because you should have hymns and psalms and love poems written in the praise of your name. Sisters, what a shame this world be basic as shit. This book here is for black trans girls. Black trans girls. Black trans girls. Women, our dead and our living, who ain't got no name, who got 50, who has never been called trans, who fought the power and danced the hours, who lived here many lifetimes, who combined the bounty beautiful that is being, for black trans girls who run the motherfucking world. This, sisters, is for us. This shit is for us. This is for us. You, I, we, beautiful, dark, bright, children of night and sisters of morning light, we be everything.
Yes.
Thank you, honey. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Listen,
Give it up for motherfucking
wow.
Lady Dane Figueroa and Edidi. Yes.
Baby.
Yes.
Woo, it's still a little bit warm, honey. It's the summertime.
It's summer. Listen. You know, them pages be sticking together, you know.
I was like,
Yes.
oh, Jesus sweating.
Yes. Yes. So thank y'all for staying with us and being engaged on the chat. So again, if you hear something you like, you can type a little reaction. You can react at your computer. That's cool. You can react at your computer so we can. That's fine. But if you want to type something in the chat, just want to let us know that we know that you here. You know, that makes us feel good. Like we're all doing this together. Performance, you know, little known fact, it's a collaborative experience. It's a collaborative experience. I'll say it again. It is a collaborative experience. Okay. There is no performance without an audience. Okay. Period. All right. So I'm going to do this poem. And this poem is from a chapbook I had that I'm turning into a full-length book, which will be out in a few weeks because Dane's been keeping me accountable to that. Thank you for friends that keep you accountable. All right. And so the book is called, White Folks Be Trippin'. And I moved to the magical land of Seattle. So I live in Seattle. Those of y'all that are in Portland, I'm in the Pacific Northwest. I moved here about 4 years ago from New York. And stuff is different here in the Pacific Northwest. It's a lot different. It's a lot whiter than I expected it to be. And so that book, White Folks Be Trippin', is inspired by my time here in the Pacific Northwest. And so this first poem from that book is White People Dancing in Their Natural Habitat, okay? So if you'd like to hear this poem, type it into the chat. So like, yes, we ready for this poem. Yes, we ready for this poem. And even if you don't feel like you're ready for this poem, this is the poem that's gonna happen because I have the mic and my mic is not muted. So, yeah. White People Dancing in Their Natural Habitat. This is a poem dedicated to white tears and to offbeat awkward dancing that is unashamed of how much space it can truly take up. This poem is white like paper, white like the police officers watching the way I walk, white like university presidents, white like mayonnaise, white like the cast of Friends, white like bleach, white like appropriating slang from neighborhoods that they never even want to touch, white like a gay pride parade in Salt Lake City or a Seattle solstice, white like I just wanted to play devil's advocate for a second. This poem is Snow White. It quotes Disney movies and loves it's some damn Miley Cyrus. This poem wants you to teach it how to twerk. This poem has once dated a Black person and wants you to know it, especially after it started sentences with phrases like, not to be racist, but. This poem has a job at Bank of America, or maybe Apple or Amazon with a 401k and thinks that you need to pay for your own damn health care. Even though my Black ancestors paid for the building that his cubicle sits in with their lives, this poem wants to move to the city to rebel, but will move back to the suburbs when it starts making little haikus. This poem holds its arms up to blue ink after taking vacations on colonized land and says, look, I'm almost as dark as you. This poem just took a gap year. This poem shares YouTube videos of Jon Stewart talking about race because white boys talking about race are the only experts on race this poem will recognize. This poem is a Democrat, but has a few Republican friends just to be diverse. Hashtag this poem loves the word diverse. This poem gets lonely because it's not sure if it has a culture. This poem takes no responsibility for your oppression because it's like not this poem's fault it was made on high-grade paper. This poem is vanilla without all the complications of the middle passage that put that extract in your grandma's favorite recipe. This poem is Bugs Bunny circa 1965. This poem is deeply invested in anti-racism unless that means it doesn't get to be in charge. This poem wants to talk about its pain with you because it's like hard to be oppressive. This poem thinks Rachel Dolezal is a national treasure. This poem will want to process its feelings with you later after this poet is done. This poem refuses to acknowledge the color of the ivory paper that it's printed on. This poem agrees with your politics, but not your tactics. This poem wants you to know that hashtag all stanzas matter, and that we're all really just poems, whether we are sonnets or slam. This poem has a Bernie Sanders brand necktie and a Hillary Clinton decoupage on its nightstand. This poem is so white. It knows what decoupage means and believes that, yes, we can change the world one poem at a time as long as white poems with the right politics get to hit the stage first.
Oh, baby, that's a read.
Listen. There's an extended version. There's an extended version for 2020.
I cannot wait. So when are you gonna drop White People Be Tripping?
So White Folks Will Be Tripping will be done by this end of this month. So we have a few other projects that we have in the works kind of coming out, me and Dane, and so it'll be done by our next project's release, actually. Yeah. So look for it. So it'll be up in the world for you to receive it and to grab it online by July 1st. That's my commitment. It'll be up by July 1st.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we should do, because Infrastructure of a Nation comes out July 4th, which is my new poetry, which talks about colonization and then dismantling oppressive systems. There's poems on that, and then poems on rebuilding and what a future could look like without these oppressive systems. And so I feel like we might have to do like a little August book release, co-release party.
Yeah, and so for those of y'all that don't already know, so Dane and I, so number one, something that just frustrates the hell out of me with Dane. So Dane has written 13 books in 7 years. It's disgusting, okay? So so she I just be calling her Dane, what are you doing today? And she's like, oh, nothing. I just finished a book today. And I'm just but it's Saturday. You didn't have a book. How did you? What were you doing? I was taking a nap and shit. What? How did we get here? So Dane is one of those hyper-productive friends. But so, as I said earlier, we're co-editors of the Black Trans Prayer Book. That book has been out, and it's at theblacktransprayerbook.org, and people can buy that from, and I encourage people to buy it from our site versus Amazon or anything else, because it's cheaper on our site than anywhere else. But also, we have a release party for that book on June 30th. So if you're around, you like to talk nerdy theology things, and you just like beautiful Black trans people existing and being free and spin some of their work, that's happening on June 30th, and you can check it out online. Yeah.
I love it. It's going to be a fun time. Sorry, y'all. Okay, here we go. Trying to catch this light, honey. We on different coasts, y'all. All right, so speaking of white people tripping, since it is Pride, I think that it's so appropriate for me to do this piece. This is my second piece. This is another piece for Black trans girls. It's called A Painting. A painting. I imagined painting a picture once, one that showed Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera dressed as Mary, mother of Christ, mothers. Their black and brown skin glistening, shimmering stars amongst this mundane backdrop, light blue robes of the mother, peep of Jezebel red on lips, alabaster boxer stationed at revolutionary feet, serving, giving, mother goddess realness, palms pressed to the audience, saying, come on here, baby. All are welcomed in the house of liberation. Come get you some. But behind their eyes would be a deep sorrow, for they know what you didn't. Not at first. For some of you, not now. For most of you, not ever. As they attempt desperately to hold Black trans girl baby goddesses, different shapes, different sizes, different to a waiting breast filled with immortalizing milk. White, cis, gay men dressed as devils would be attempting to snatch the girls away, to dash them down to the rocks below, to steal the nourishment these fallen angels had once rejected, and yet was so potent it blessed them too. Around these creatures would be familiar slogans and phrases, that erasure of the very mothers by whose essence gave them life. And for colored girls, the Black woman in red said, somebody ran off with all my stuff. Well, you ain't got to search no more, girl. I know who stole it. Well, excuse me, appropriated, which is another word for stolen that makes white academics feel better about how white people been stealing shit from black folks since the days Greeks had their first taste of mathematical Egyptian pussy. That makes white academics feel better about getting paid to say the same damn thing black and brown folk been saying since before white people learned violence was their most learned ambassador. Fears, stolen. Giving life, stolen. Serving, stolen. Bitch, stolen. Girl, stolen. Shade, stolen. Work, stolen. Gas, stolen. Reclaiming my time, stolen. Culture, stolen. Blackness, stolen. The riches of Tulsa, stolen. Black bodies, stolen. Black lips, stolen. Black ass, stolen on ships that never intended to return to sender. Murdered black folk. Genocides we never seem to learn about. Genocides these white cis gay folk never seem to recall. Somebody ran off with all our motherfucking stuff and tried to call it theirs. Colonization by any other name is murder. Shit still smells like fucking shit. When you had no house, we gave you shelter. When you had no love, we gave you a family to call your own. When wolves wanted to devour you, we wielded the axe to try to shield you from harm. Time and time again, black people have birthed brilliance. These white, cis, gay men are like chitlins, child. Something we always done to get by, to cope, but leaving you with high blood pressure all the same. Bitch. I imagined painting a picture once that told the truth. You got your marriage equality. You got your HRC. You got your movies that pretend Marsha P. Johnson was your magical Negro mama. You got your Hillarys and your stolen rainbow flags and your Caitlins and your drag races and your tokenizing gayness that spins you like coins, uses you like dirty rags, and demands you replenish from a well that starved you nearly to death. Back then. But this now, right? You got your whiteness to keep you warm. Well, bitch, you're gonna learn quick and in a hurry. Whiteness don't hold heat. You already conspired with the systems to steal the very quilts we sold. But you can't have us. You can't have Marsha. You can't have Sylvia. You can't have us as your tranny. Why can't I say that word? Two best friends to keep you company when the system gets done using you too. Give us back what you stole. Give us back what you took. Give us back now. Thank you.
Yes, 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 yes.
Childish like
Good
shade.
stuff, good stuff.
Let me try to get this light together.
All right, everyone give it again up for Lady Dane Figueroa Edidi. Give it up again for Lady Dane Figueroa Edidi. Yes.
Thank you, boo. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, and so I'm like, so we have all these different, so we have like these outlines of things that we want to kind of get done for today, or our set list. And I'm like, do I want to keep with this set list? I guess I could. We can. It's like, we can do whatever comes to us, right? We can do whatever.
Oh, I
don't know. You know, I'm just, yeah, I'm a, let me do something different. I'm gonna do something different. Is that okay? I'm asking you, and you already just told me to do something different. Okay. So yeah. So I was gonna do a piece. We're kind of getting into some heavy. Well, they're all heavy topics because white supremacy is fucking heavy. This is another piece that I'm sort of working out for right now. It's a very short piece. It's of COVID, mass, and quarantine, or AKA fuck Ben Franklin. You know, and so I wrote this after the protests that white folks with rifles were doing just a few short weeks ago. I don't know if people remember that, but a little while ago, white folks were protesting to get their hair cut. I just want to remind us, this is the disparities in which we're living.
And also, while you're there, they're going to try to blame this second wave, quote unquote, second wave on the protest. That shit ain't true. The reason why there is a second wave is because the first wave never went away. And
We
these
still
white
in the
people
first grade.
be talking about fucking haircuts and shit, not wearing masks. And also, states was reopening too fast.
Yeah.
So don't let them gaslight you, baby.
Listen, especially don't gaslight the black folks in the room. Okay, that's the least what I'm gonna say. Yeah. So if COVID masks and quarantine, aka fuck Ben Franklin. And actually, type "fuck Ben Franklin" in the chat if you feel gully like that today. Type "fuck Ben Franklin" in the chat. Okay, that's how I feel. Okay. It read kind of like a movie that only incels would watch. You know, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety, said Benjamin Franklin. Well, that's at least according to the white boy on Facebook who wasn't perceptive enough to cite the irony of using a slave master's words to defend human autonomy. White boys are funny like that. They tell jokes sometimes about our existence, but they state it as a matter of fact, like matter is fact, based on the observer's perception. Like they don't think you or I have the capacity to observe, like I am just a state of matter to be acted upon or observed. They build totems to their forefathers, and with just a slip of tongue and slab of concrete, they are no longer warmongers or colonizers or rabid beasts. They are free thinkers that somehow meditated their way up the food chain, because how dare I, as a state of matter, observe them as a matter of fact, being anything else except for monuments to their own egos in alabaster wastelands and corruption? How dare I observe them being anything but objective? How dare I observe them being anything at all? That's it. It was a short piece. That was just a short detour, Dane. Just a short detour.
Thank you. So we listen. So I just called my man up here. He's working behind the scenes trying to get my lighting right.
Tell Percy we say hey. Tell Percy we say hey, Percy. Hey, Percy.
Maybe it'd be if the light can go, you gonna put it on a little chair. He getting my lighting right.
Listen, everybody needs a boo thing like that, okay? Yes, everybody needs a boo thing that's gonna get your lighting right, because you can't let the person you love like be out of good light, like that's just. Oh yes, I love this light.
Look at what it's giving me.
Oh, can we hire Percy? Percy, you coming on the road next, okay? So just like
thanks, Bobby. Yes, honey. You know what Franklin said? She said, "My baby loves me." Yeah, jump to it.
Can I say something before you jump into your next piece in your good lighting?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so one thing just to let y'all know. So we're a little bit more than halfway through, right? And so in a bit we're gonna have some question and answer section. So if there's a question that's on your mind, you will get a chance to ask that. So please, as things come up for you during our pieces, please know that you will have an opportunity to ask us about whatever.
So listen, so there's been a lot of shit in the news this week, right? One thing that's been in the news has been about Miss J.K. Rowling, who is a TERF, is a cis sex essentialist, who is a darling, a shield, a mouthpiece for colonization and white supremacy. And so just really quickly before I read this really quick fast part, I just want to say, fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. Just fuck her. Yeah, listen. I'm not going to tell y'all not to buy any more of her books. But I'm going to tell you, when you do buy her books, you're investing in her coinage. So you do with that what you would like to. She's a TERF. Fuck her. I will say this. Black trans lives matter more to me than her white feelings. The lives of Black people matter more to me than white people's feelings. And so you can, you can run till that, as the old ones, the ancient ones, the seasoned ones, the elders used to say. So I wrote this little piece. So listen, for Black Trans Girls, it's a book of poetry. You can grab that joint from our website. And it's also a stage play. So we did a stage play last summer at Joe's Pub. And this brief piece I wrote this to add it to the stage play. It will be a part of Infrastructure of a Nation. Y'all ready? It's called The Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. To the TERFs. Fuck you. Fuck you, you troglodytes, trash, basic ass bitches. Fuck you. Thank you.
Can I tell y'all that you gotta be really skilled to put troglodyte into a poem? I just want to let y'all know, like, for those of y'all that are not writers, that takes a lot of capacity to be able to fit that just smoothly into your piece. Okay.
That was my attempt at a haiku.
Listen, I felt it. I felt that haiku like all the way over here, 3,000 miles away. Okay.
Woo, baby.
Listen.
They trying to carry.
Listen, am I jumping into the next one? That's what we're doing next?
Yeah, I mean, wait, how long we on for? How long we on for?
We got like 15 more minutes.
Okay. Well, you want to do our last ones?
Yeah, let's do last ones.
Want to do our
last looks. Last looks, as it were. Last looks. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna do one that I actually haven't typically done in our sets. And again, yeah, and so I think we haven't really touched on religion as much as we typically do during this set. But that's okay, because like I feel so much rage right now. So like if y'all want to hear us talk about like nerdy theology again and stuff beyond nerdy theology things, y'all can check out the Black Trans Prayer Book, where we do that with about 18 other Black trans folks from all over the country and the world. Okay. Yeah. So this little piece is so in my bio, it said that I was the head writer for this theater show that's hopefully will be on tour once we all get back up and running in the world after the pandemic is done, right? Like I do not want us to rush out into the world right now. But so this is so every poem in that show, in the theater show Black Boys, it's a dance show, and I get to speak over different dancers that are in the cast. And so there's one, I'm speaking over the only other trans person in the cast. And so this is called The Seventh. And so I've never read this outside of the show. We're going to see how it feels outside of the show. And if you get a chance to see the show, I'm hoping, especially for those of y'all in Portland, it's really just a hop, skip, and a jump to get to Seattle. Next time we sell at another theater, you can come check it out, okay? And whenever we get on the road again, okay? And what do you do when they've reduced you in this colonizer language so that you forget yourself? They've forgotten you, love. They've forgotten us. You be healer. You be prophet. You have manifested yourself even after they have tried to rob you of the words Black Trans One. You are divinity. And they do not deserve your trauma if they cannot speak your name. And yet you have been accepting their worn, unworthy gifts as a replacement for the sawdust love you have spent on them. Each and every single one of them and their ghosts. All these ghosts. And what are you to do with ghosts, huh? Do you pay them attention? Do you honor them? Do you become disgusted with yourself for wanting to fight them? It was 5 years after the fact that I thought to myself, well, hey, maybe the guy who cheated on you 3 times wasn't such a nice guy. Maybe he was just a guy who couldn't keep it in his pants. Maybe he was a guy who thought his dick was more important than honesty and loyalty. Maybe he just thought you were too stupid to say anything. I mean, you never did, and you knew, and you wonder, where on earth did you learn this loyalty for men who refuse your boundaries? For men that would rather string you along, and suddenly you find yourself arguing with ghosts named after your father. Trying to have conversations that should have happened when that man was still alive, so he could have grown into a man that would have taught you some self-respect and holding loyalty for those who see you as someone to know as sacred.
One of my perhaps dreams, I guess, or one of my, I guess I would say like something that like I want to happen, right? Is that maybe like for Black trans girls and Black boys happens in rep at a theater together.
Listen, let's just put that in the world.
In conversation with one another.
Let's put that in the world.
I would love for that to happen. And I actually would love for a theater to actually program like, a bunch of different choreo poems, or maybe do like a festival, right? Of like Black playwrights who have written choreo poems and call it Nkazake's Children, and we're able to like really recognize, honor the incredible ways in which Black people are always doing things for the culture, how we're always redefining, how we're always inventing, how we're always invigorating. Every good thing, right, is born of the brilliance of Black people, is maintained because of the vigilance of Black trans people. And like, yeah, one day.
Listen, let's put that out, because I'm just saying, like, for those of y'all that are watching, whether it's the current video and you're doing the live feed, or you're watching this later, we take all kinds of donations to make things happen. Some theaters that can make that happen. We take all kinds of recommendations, all kinds of connections. We down for the cause. And we love getting art out there, especially like I think the team of Black trans folks that you've gotten for Color Girls to get together, Black trans women and femmes doing that work, and just for the team of folks out here doing Black boys, like, some powerful shit. And I don't know. Dane is my favorite person in the world to like really get to sit and have these conversations with, just because like, just creating and just going back and forth is kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
I want to say to like anybody who's watching out there tonight that it is so deeply important, especially in these moments where the reality of the imagining of a world free of oppression is perhaps closer than it's ever been.
Yes.
Ever been since 1619.
Listen.
Okay, because we're about to get into the history. But like, it's so important that we also recognize, right, that like that the future is not available to the world without Black trans people.
Mm-hmm.
In so many cultures before colonization, in so many indigenous cultures around the world, we were often holders of spiritual power. We were essential. We were intricate to the survival of our peoples.
Mm.
And so, it is imperative that we protect, that we love, that we center, that we celebrate, that we make sure are not just surviving, but also thriving Black trans people.
Yes.
Especially Black trans women and femmes.
Yes.
So I'm gonna do my last piece.
You gotta reserve all the energy for that one. Listen.
Yeah.
Listen. Listen.
It's Black trans people be out here fighting for everybody's liberation. For everybody's liberation. The dismantling of white supremacy is not simply about racism. It is about dismantling patriarchy, transphobia, homophobia, ableism. All these oppressive systems gotta go. because they're the tools that white supremacy is using to kill our people. Not just the police, these systems. I think about everybody who always want to talk about the Bible, right? And they said we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, we wrestle against what? Principalities. Gotta give. It's so possible. A world free of oppression is so possible. It's so close to us. And it won't exist without Black trans people. We have birthed so much. Okay. This piece is called A Trans Woman Speaks of America. It's from my first book of poetry called Baltimore Love Letter. I'm originally from Baltimore City. I wrote it in 2015 during the Baltimore uprising. And so it's deeply important that I end this set with this piece. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, round the waves of gray, for purple mountains' majesties, upon her fruited plains, America, America. God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy hoods with brotherhood. From sea to shining sea. From sea to shining sea. One place stolen by the making of another life earned by bloodied back, a woman whose queendom is the black market scheme of generations enslaved, the mind and body made way for producing livestock. The cock crows and morning comes too soon, always too soon, but not soon enough. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Call me America. Call me poetry written in black gold blood. Call me descendant of queens and kings who knew chains on bodies, kingdom stolen by the hubris of those who themselves had no historical fact-based truth. And why you and I had to die in order for them to sit fat in houses, spouses drowning, spouses drowning, spouses drowning, spouses drowning, drowned by their greed. We still plead for scraps, whether by working on broken legs or on back, twerk, pop, hop, to the tune of the money train that displays a whole new regime of gods. In God we trust, in God we fuss, in God we cuss, looking at and worshiping gods that don't even motherfucking look like us. I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. Call me a harlot. Call me a hoe. Call me a trans woman whose gender makes you incomplete. Call me that diva with that fierce sick beat that you want to dance to, that entrances you, that makes you want to forget the clicks that beat in your brain and batters the tricks of slave master whip. Call me witch, enchantress, because the entrance to my womb is the secret you tried to beat out of those who came before me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. That man, white like snow, say 1% of him is greater than the sum of 100% of you. His ideology is a false god, parading his money for children, foot wars, and who is mining the store. Twerk, trick, flip the switch and turn your mind on. Look at him and how he is made rich from the blood of natives. His land, His land, brought and sold land whose currency was the lives of our sacred dead, forced them to cut their hair and make unfair the circumstances. His land tended by black bodies in successions on seas, walked back and forth. We so powerful that even in his hate, his son still tried to be like me, burn cross and effigy to their hate, and debate whether we're monkeys or born from a seed of a coward in a garden made by your white God. I have had enough. Supper time. It's time to set the table. But somehow I'm unable because that man of mine, he won't be coming home anytime soon. Soon. Soon we won't be blue anymore from beating of media. You say they tell us who to be, but my own identity is older than when tongue had sounds to make language. The grunt and groan of first knowing, the cracks are showing. You hang the noose to silence the truth, but I rant, I rave, I will not lie beneath you and have you come on my dreams and force me to give birth to your own. I am a queen. I am that thing that is so high, the sky is my ground. Cut their hair, they did. Cut their hair and said, God don't care for your queerness. Cut their bodies and said, God don't care for your humanity. And now they sit fat, 1% against the filth of their making. We swim, attempting revolution, screaming, believing in the people. What are we heard? Are we heard? I am a black trans woman. Call me by my name. I list, I spit, I kiss, I fuck, I walk, I talk, I live in defiance of their definition. Those people who think we less fresh and yet at every moment try to steal our ideas, make money off of our authenticity, make caricatures of our royalty. They make light of those things that are heavy. So I stand here. I sit here. So I live here, so I fuck here on the soil, on Mother Earth, and give birth to children that will set ablaze their ideology and make art and make peace and make love and do battle with their love of wars and hysteria and weapons of mass destruction that leaves so many bleeding their histories on time's floor. Call this a libation on Yemayat shores. Call me a whore. Call me an affront. Call me a pagan. Call me I am the mother of a verbal revolution. The world will be changed by the spit of my twirl, girl. This shit has just begun. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
Thank you. Whew. So I'm going to ask everyone. So one more time, give it up for Lady Dane, Figueroa, Edidi. I'm going to also ask, as we kind of transition a little bit from what just from all this energy, we're gonna have some time to ask for you all to ask like one or two questions. So to transition into that time from all this energy that I know that we're feeling, all this power that I know that we're feeling right now, I'm going to ask us to take a quick deep breath in together. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Take one more deep breath in. Take one more deep breath out. Okay. All right. And so thank you all so much for having us. So thank you so much for having us. Thank you for having us. Northwest Pride for having us. And so if people have any questions, again, we have time for like one or two questions. We're a little over time, but we're hoping that's okay, because we seem to like y'all seem to like us, so we're just gonna open up for a question or two. And it's a 10-second delay, so we'll assume that there's going to be a question coming. So I guess a question I have for you, Thank you. Thanks, y'all. A question I have for you, Dane, while we're waiting for people to ask questions, for other people to ask questions. You know, in this time of great transformation, right? So there's all these different things happening, and as you said, we're so close. We're so close to this moment of being free from oppression. What is something that you hope for the world, or that you hope that the world is like in a year? What is one change you want to see, or one thing that you want to see manifested?
Oh gosh, it's so loaded. You always ask me this question.
Listen,
You go first. You go first. You go first. You say it first.
So for me, I think that there is so much trauma that we get from not having the resources that we need. I think even most of the arguments that we have inside a community, outside a community, are usually boiled down to feeling like there's not enough to go around, or feeling like the little bit that's given to us is all that's ever going to be given out. And so a year from now, my sincere hope is that our material reality as Black trans people and brown trans people and Indigenous trans people has changed so much that it prevents trauma happening for those that come after us, and it can lessen a lot of the trauma that many of us have right now. I think that that's actually truly possible in this next year, based off of the ways that I'm seeing some people operate now differently than they did even just 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think about what it means to live in, I think we often talk about safe space, but what does it mean to live in or to be an affirming space? I want the world to be a place that affirms Black trans people. And I think that in order for affirmation to happen, the deep work of intentional dismantling of white supremacy has to also happen, right? Or else something isn't affirming. Something is just to alleviate cis guilt, right? Or white guilt.
Mm.
And so, with that said, I think that, like, you know, living in a world that affirms, you know, Black, Indigenous, people of color, trans people of color, will allow for people to want to even move differently in the ways that they engage us. You know, so many orgs take our stories, they take our trauma, they take our pain, they take our labor, and they get grant money off of it. They create whole departments, right, that then aren't even led by trans people, right?
Yeah.
They co-opt, they try to co-opt movements. And so I don't think that would happen if people were truly invested in affirmation, because part of affirmation is, what do you need? How can we get you that thing that you need? And sometimes what I need is for these organizations and white people to give us reparations.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see reparations for Black folks.
Listen. And if you want to find out how to give us reparations so that we can pass it out to community too, like, you can check it out on our Instagrams. On our Instagrams, we definitely have all of our payment info very visible for those of y'all that are on Instagram, which I think everybody should be at this point. Anyway, but that's not here nor there. I'm obsessed with Instagram. I love it now. I'm like, Instagram is the greatest thing in the world. So that piece also around, I think that piece around reparation stuff, what is also so important about that is that people need to understand that not having the stuff that you need to feed yourself and housing changes everything about your life, right? And so sometimes people want to talk about white supremacy and racism as these theoretical things. It's like, not being able to feed yourself changes how you can function during a fucking day, right? Changes how you're able to engage with people. Maybe being able to make decisions about how you live, or who you get to engage with, if you want to go to school, if you want to start like if you wanted to, even how people enter into the arts sustainably, right? Can change based on access to resources. Be able to wash yourself every day, that changes, right? And so for some people, there's I remember having a conversation with someone out here in Seattle. Seattle's the biggest number of millionaires and billionaires in the country, like per capita, period, right? And so having a conversation with someone who thought it was normal as a white person was like, oh, it's, I have some money saved up, got like a savings account with like 30,000 in it, but like, I'm a little behind. And I was just like, and you think that's fucking normal? And you think that's fucking normal, right? Having a savings account, period. Like I know a lot of people watching are like, I don't have $30,000 in my savings account. Having a savings account, period, is a thing that lots of people can't have. Having a checking account is a thing that lots of people actually can't have, right? Having a credit card is a thing lots of people can't have. Okay. And so knowing that, so just being in this place where people can actually change people's whole realities with just a little bit of it and not realize it,
Right. Yeah, I think about these conversations about like, a seat at the table, right? But it's like, if you build the table, if you cook the meal, if you did all the things, like that's your table.
Yeah. Listen,
that's
be at our table. Let us have our table, okay? We made it another thing is like, because I also often hear from, especially like non-Black folks, like, what can we do? And so again, it's like, we'll say the same things again and again, and they won't do it. Right, so it's like, so also just like that like y'all heard, Dane said reparations, I think a total of 5 times tonight.
Yeah,
total 5 times tonight, right?
Reparations.
When you hear it and people are like, oh, what can I do? Reparations. Reparations. So you either do it, what people say, or you don't. And then the people that don't will ask the same question the next time they get in front of another Black person. What can I do? Reparations. Correct. Well, that answer wasn't what I but they go to another Black person. And that's like they've been searching for ways to be in solidarity, and they haven't.
Because even like you and I kind of talked about this, where I said, oh, wow, I'm seeing a lot of like anti-racism like reading lists, like people are recommending books, right? And I see a book by a white cis woman on that list. White fragility, right? But I don't see books on that list by Black, Indigenous, trans, Black, Indigenous, POC writers who I know are doing the work, right? Your books, my books, Venus Solanite's books, Kay's books, Olandi Barrett's books, right? Like just a few folks.
Please don't read white people to learn about racism. Like, if you're reading white people to learn about racism, white supremacy, you actually don't want to know about white supremacy and racism. You really just want to feel good about yourself and have a little reading group with other white friends and do nothing and sit and pontificate around white supremacy and racism. Like, that's just, please stop reading books by white people about racism and white supremacy. It makes no sense.
There's so many people doing the work, right? And I think about, say, for example, if you have 100,000 people and they look at that reading list and then they buy White Fragility, that 100,000 people could actually be buying the work, right? Buying copies of the work of Black, Indigenous, POC trans folks, like, and putting money in the pockets of people who are already, right, economically, economic violence happens to Black, Indigenous, POC people, but especially to trans, Black, Indigenous, POC folks.
Yeah.
Like,
listen,
the work is happening.
Work is happening. It's been happening. Some people are new to the party, but the work has been happening, and we've been doing it, not because we all want to be sitting here doing it, but because we've had to survive. And actually, like, there are some people that get to make choices about how they enter it. I had this woman come to this white woman. I was in Kentucky. I'll never forget this. And she was like, oh, just thank you so much for your work. I want to do stuff, but like, I just have so many things. I got a family, got this. And I was like, you think I don't have people I love? You think I don't have family members? Do you think I have extra time somewhere? Like between like trying to figure out how to make money and this, like that I want to just be doing all this extra work. Like, no, I'd actually love for all of us just to be chill and get 8 hours of sleep a night, have all the food we need, and have the money that we need to survive. Like, nobody, like, it energizes
their wildest dreams, right? Because the world, like, I think about the fact that, like, we could probably have flying cars, we could probably have fixed the ozone layer. All of these things could happen when you're existing in a space of not crisis, right? When you're not always in crisis. And it's like, you know, if people's needs are met,
Mhm.
particularly the most marginalized, if our needs, right, are met, that actually gives us time, that gives us space to be able to truly, truly, truly invest in our gifts.
Right. Right.
Beyond survival.
Right. 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 Like just even thinking about, because even when we think about like a word I hate, don't ever use this, y'all. If you're watching it, don't ever fucking use this word again. I hate when people call black and brown people minorities, right? For lots of all the reasons, right? And even just thinking about white people being the global minority, like really on the planet, right? And so thinking about that, even like if you actually poured into the people that have actually been stolen from, we actually like, you know, how many more problems could get done? There's actually just more of us around the world. We could actually get a lot of shit done if we didn't have to worry about being bombed, having food stolen, having our shit taken, having gold in our hands means something different than it does in white people's hands, right? Like, and the economics of that.
Police.
But listen, we could be in situations where people who are mining the materials for our computers actually got fair pay, and not just the people who are coding the systems behind a safe computer screen, right?
Okay.
So people could actually sleep and do shit, right? And so Tanya Raz says, so interesting to hearing y'all talk about economic violence and who is informing us. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people look at economic justice and economic violence as like theoretical. It's like, this is actually our lives. Like if you're talking about justice issues, if you're talking about economic violence and economic justice, racial justice, from a space of just, we're just going to talk about it. We're going to do this thing. That's such a luxury. I've heard someone say the other day that they're just an analytical person. They need more stats. I was like, you need more stats because you actually don't believe we're people enough, or you don't believe that that we are rational enough to be able to perceive our lived reality, right? And so just admit that instead of saying that you just got to keep talking about it. Because actually, like, we don't all have that physical time on this planet to just talk about things. We actually have to get some shit done. And that means being very strategic with who we engage with, how we actually gather resources, and how we actually move things around, right? It can't just ever be sitting in if you're sitting in a class pontificating about for 12 weeks, you ain't done shit, that was a waste of your time and mine.
Right. I mean, and part of it, right? Like, I know we have to close out, but like,
people gonna be like, I invited these people here and they just would not stop talking.
But no, I just want to say, you know, I made a post a while ago and I said, you know, what we're needing now is beyond the imagination of white people.
Right.
And so white people.
Like white people, y'all can stop thinking because the work is that like people have already been saying what needs to happen. Just believe black and brown and indigenous.
And have created strategies, have created.
You can like you actually don't have to think. Don't even like we want you to do less thinking. That's okay. That's what the thought process, the frameworks, they're already out there.
When people say, well, how would the world look without police? I was like, there are already people who are existing outside of the framework of policing, actually.
Yes.
There are communities.
Yes.
That have already built in accountability measures and
like this is not like the start of the world didn't start with police. Like I don't know if people know that. You said, can we do a podcast together? Listen, I mean, Dane and I talk so much. Dane and I talk like 2 hours a freaking day. Yeah. So I'm like, at some point we should just record things because we spend a lot of time. Might as well get something done. Might as well get something done outside of like just doing a kiki every day.
I know. All right, y'all. I think it's time for us to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think Deborah's gonna close us out. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you can close us out, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Mace III, Lady Dane. We really, you know, if we had more time, we'd sit here all night, and because there's a lot of learning going on right now. Thank you again for being so flexible and arranging your schedules to be with us here tonight. And hopefully we will see you again. And take care. And thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. And also shout out to Iden for connecting us all and everything like that. And so thank you so much for having us tonight. And hopefully y'all will check us out on the interwebs and we'll talk to y'all all really soon.
All right.
Yeah. See y'all. Peace.
Peace.